First contact and deception. The Krylonian High Command's central chamber gleamed with its characteristic purple bioluminescence, a testament to their mastery of organic technology. Supreme Commander Vex Thor's tentacles rippled with barely contained excitement as he reviewed the preliminary reports from Earth. The primitive planet had everything they needed: vast mineral deposits, abundant water, and a slave workforce ripe for harvesting. "The humans are perfectly positioned for our needs," Vex Thor announced to his War Council. "Their industrial capacity is impressive for their development level, but their military technology is centuries behind ours. Best of all, they're completely divided. Thousands of competing nations, endless internal conflicts." The assessment wasn't entirely accurate, but that wouldn't become clear until much later. First contact had been carefully orchestrated. The Krylonians presented themselves as peaceful explorers, eager to share knowledge and technology with their new galactic neighbors. They even helped Earth establish its first colony on Mars, providing terraform assistance that would have taken humans decades to develop independently. Behind the scenes, Krylonian intelligence operatives infiltrated Earth's major governments, planted surveillance devices, and mapped out military installations. They were particularly interested in humanity's nuclear capabilities. Primitive but potentially troublesome if not neutralized quickly. What the Krylonians failed to notice were the subtle signs, like how quickly humans adapted their provided technology, making improvements the Krylonians hadn't considered, or how Earth's nations, despite their surface conflicts, began quiet cooperation programs after first contact. Admiral Sarah Chen of the United Earth Defense Force saw through the deception early on. "They're too helpful," she warned the Security Council. "Every piece of technology they've given us has a backdoor. They're building a cage, not a bridge." Her warnings led to the formation of Project Phoenix, humanity's secret preparation for the inevitable betrayal. The Krylonians' true nature was revealed 18 months after first contact. Their massive invasion fleet dropped out of hyperspace without warning, positioning itself at strategic points around Earth. Vex Thor's ultimatum was broadcast globally: immediate surrender or face extinction. "Your species has two choices," his message declared. "Submit to Krylonian authority and serve as productive members of our empire, or resist and be eliminated. You have 24 Earth hours to decide." The response wasn't what he expected. Instead of panic or immediate capitulation, Earth's communications went silent. When the deadline arrived, humanity's answer came in the form of a single transmission from the newly revealed United Earth government. "We appreciate your offer," the message read, "but humanity doesn't do well with ultimatums. You really should have done your homework better." The Krylonians dismissed it as empty bravado. After all, their scans showed no significant orbital defenses, no advanced weapon systems, nothing that could threaten their technological superiority. They had studied human military capabilities extensively and felt fully prepared for any resistance. What they hadn't studied was human history, specifically humanity's long experience with asymmetric warfare, their ability to innovate under pressure, and most importantly, their habit of keeping their best cards hidden until absolutely necessary. As Vex Thor gave the order to begin the invasion, he had no way of knowing that his carefully planned conquest was about to become a costly lesson in why underestimating humans was one of the galaxy's most dangerous mistakes. The first indication that something was wrong came when their supposedly foolproof backdoors into Earth's defense systems failed to activate. The second came when their superior communications network suddenly went dark, compromised by virus code they hadn't believed humans capable of writing. But by then, it was too late to reconsider. The invasion of Earth had begun, and with it, a war that would reshape the galaxy's understanding of human potential. The art of underestimation. Vex Thor's command tentacles twitched in irritation as he reviewed the initial invasion reports. What should have been a swift subjugation was turning into an increasingly frustrating series of setbacks. The humans were proving remarkably difficult to pin down, let alone defeat. "Impossible," he muttered, studying footage of a failed Krylonian assault on a military base in what the humans called Singapore. Their most advanced battle forms, capable of shrugging off conventional weapons, had been decimated by some kind of sonic weapon that exploited their biomechanical nature. They couldn't have developed countermeasures this quickly. But they had. Project Phoenix, it turned out, wasn't just one program. It was thousands of independent research initiatives spread across the globe, each studying different aspects of Krylonian technology during the months of peaceful contact. Humans hadn't just been adapting the gifted technology. They'd been actively reverse engineering it, finding weaknesses, and developing countermeasures. The Krylonians' first major ground assault on North America demonstrated just how badly they'd miscalculated. Their dropships, designed to be impervious to primitive human weapons, found themselves targeted by hastily modified versions of their own shield technology. The humans had not only understood the underlying principles, but had found ways to selectively disrupt the shields using significantly less power than should have been possible. "They're using our own technology against us," Science Director Zix reported, her color-changing skin reflecting her distress. "But they're using it in ways we never considered. They've merged it with their existing systems in configurations our simulations said wouldn't work." The humans' greatest advantage wasn't just their technology, though. It was their unpredictability. When Krylonian forces thought they had adapted to one human tactic, the humans would switch to something completely different. Urban combat proved especially costly for the invaders. In the ruins of Moscow, Krylonian warriors found themselves fighting against autonomous drones that could pass through walls, a crude but effective adaptation of Krylonian phase shift technology. In Rio de Janeiro, civilian vehicles had been converted into mobile electromagnetic pulse generators, turning the city's traffic into a weapon that could disable Krylonian biocircuits. But it was the battle for Earth's orbital space that truly demonstrated humanity's capacity for innovation. The Krylonians had expected to maintain complete space superiority. After all, humans had barely reached their own moon. What they hadn't expected was for humans to turn their own atmosphere into a weapon. "They're using their upper atmosphere as a plasma conductor," Zix explained, showing Vexthor the data. "They've created a global network of ionosphere heaters, crude versions of our stellar manipulation technology. But they're using them to generate electromagnetic storms that our ships can't safely navigate." The humans called it Project Thor, and it effectively denied the Krylonians the easy orbital bombardment they had relied on in previous conquests. Every attempt to establish a stable firing position was met with artificially generated electromagnetic turbulence that played havoc with Krylonian biosystems. Vexthor found himself facing an uncomfortable reality. The humans weren't fighting to not lose, they were fighting to win. Each engagement revealed new adaptations, new combinations of technologies that shouldn't have worked but somehow did. The humans seemed to take perverse pleasure in solving problems that Krylonian science had deemed impossible. "They're not just copying our technology," Zix observed during a particularly heated strategic session. "They're improving it. Their versions are cruder, yes, but also more robust, more adaptable. They're not trying to match our sophistication. They're deliberately choosing simpler, more flexible solutions." The final shock came when human forces began deploying weapons that the Krylonians had never shown them, technologies that humanity had developed entirely on their own. It became clear that Earth's apparent technological backwardness had been, at least partially, a carefully maintained illusion. As the invasion's death toll mounted, Vexthor faced an unpleasant choice: either commit more forces and risk even greater losses, or admit that what had seemed like an easy conquest was becoming a war of attrition against an opponent that grew stronger with each passing day. The worst part was knowing that every Krylonian secret, every technological advantage they revealed in combat, was being studied, adapted, and turned against them by an enemy that seemed to thrive on impossible challenges. The humans had a saying that was beginning to haunt Krylonian command: "Necessity is the mother of invention." The Krylonians were learning, too late, that they had given humanity both necessity and opportunity in abundance. Turning the tide. In the depths of the Australian outback, surrounded by red desert and hidden beneath tons of rock, Admiral Chen studied the holographic battle map with grim satisfaction. Colored markers showed Krylonian forces in purple, human resistance in green. The purple was finally starting to retreat. Their bioships require specific conditions to regenerate, she explained to the assembled War Council. They've been trying to hide it, but we've confirmed they can't maintain combat effectiveness without returning to their carrier vessels every 48 hours. That's our window. Operation Hydra, as the counteroffensive was dubbed, represented humanity's first coordinated global attack. The plan was characteristically human. Instead of trying to match the Krylonians' strengths, they would exploit the aliens' fundamental assumptions about how war should be fought. The Krylonians had expected a hierarchical resistance, one that could be decapitated by targeting leadership and command centers. Instead, they faced a hydra of independent cells, each capable of adapting and operating autonomously while still contributing to the larger strategy. Dr. Marcus Rivera, head of the Xenobiology Division, had made the crucial breakthrough. Their entire civilization is built on biological technology, he reported, but they engineer it to be perfect for specific tasks. They don't account for environmental adaptation. That's their weakness. They're too specialized. Humanity's response was to change the environment itself. Teams of climatologists and terraforming experts, originally trained for the Mars Colony Project, began modifying Earth's atmosphere in subtle but significant ways. Changes that human biology could handle, but that played havoc with Krylonian biosystems. The first major victory came in the Battle of the Indian Ocean. A Krylonian carrier group, attempting to establish a permanent base, found itself trapped in an artificially generated dead zone. The humans had seeded the area with engineered algae, a modified version of the Krylonians' own biological technology. The algae released compounds that disrupted the carrier's regenerative capabilities. They're not used to their technology being turned against them, Dr. Rivera noted. Their biological systems are sophisticated but inflexible. They don't know how to handle something that evolves and adapts in real time. The war's turning point came from an unexpected source. The video game industry. Game designers and AI researchers had created combat simulators that could predict Krylonian tactics with startling accuracy. The alien strategic thinking, while advanced, followed patterns that artificial intelligence could analyze and counter. They fight like perfectionists, explained Major Yuki Tanaka, head of tactical analysis. Every move is optimized, every strategy refined to maximum efficiency. But that makes them predictable. Humans, on the other hand, she smiled. We fight messy. The liberation of Earth's major cities demonstrated this difference perfectly. While Krylonian forces prepared for conventional military engagement, they faced flash mobs of civilians using repurposed mining equipment as weapons, autonomous drones that could transform into public transportation, and infrastructure that seemed to rearrange itself overnight. Even their attempts to target human leadership proved futile. The Krylonians had destroyed several major government buildings, only to discover they were hitting elaborate decoys. Earth's true command and control had been distributed across thousands of small mobile units, many disguised as ordinary civilian infrastructure. The final insult came when human forces began deploying weapons based on theoretical physics papers that the Krylonians had dismissed as impossible. Quantum entanglement communications that couldn't be intercepted. Gravity manipulation devices that turned urban environments into three-dimensional battlefields. Technologies that the Krylonians had deemed too impractical or energy-intensive to be useful. Humanity's greatest strength, Admiral Chen told her staff, isn't our technology or our resources. It's our stubborn refusal to accept limitations. When someone tells us something's impossible, we take it as a challenge. As Krylonian casualties mounted and their supply lines became increasingly vulnerable, Supreme Commander Vex Thor faced a horrifying realization. They weren't just losing a war, They were providing their enemies with an accelerated education in advanced warfare. Every Krylonian tactic, every piece of technology, every strategic doctrine was being absorbed, analyzed, and improved upon by an enemy that seemed to thrive on adversity. The humans had a saying, "What doesn't kill us makes us stronger." The Krylonians were beginning to understand just how literal that statement could be. Unity in crisis. The Galactic Council's emergency session buzzed with nervous energy. Representatives from over 300 spacefaring civilizations watched in stunned silence as the latest footage from Earth played across their neural interfaces. The impossible was happening. The mighty Krylonian Empire was retreating. Ambassador Lyra of the Centaurian Alliance leaned forward, her crystalline form refracting light in patterns that indicated deep concern. "This changes everything," she whispered to her aide. "The pre-FTL civilization shouldn't be able to do this." The humans hadn't just survived, they were winning. And in doing so, they had shattered countless assumptions about technological development and military doctrine that had governed galactic politics for millennia. News of Earth's resistance spread rapidly through the galaxy's information networks. Other species, particularly those under Krylonian dominion, watched with growing interest as humanity demonstrated that the Empire wasn't invincible after all. The Krylonians' desperate attempt to save face only made things worse. When they tried to quarantine the Sol system to prevent news of their defeats from spreading, they discovered that humans had already found ways to transmit faster-than-light communications using modified versions of Krylonian technology. "They're calling it the quantum internet," reported Science Director Zix, her color now permanently stuck in the ultraviolet spectrum of stress. "They've taken our secure communication protocols and somehow made them work across arbitrary distances with minimal power requirements. It shouldn't be possible." But it was possible, and humanity wasn't content to keep their innovations to themselves. Earth began broadcasting their technological breakthroughs openly, sharing their advances with any civilization willing to listen. It was a calculated move that transformed a military defeat into a political catastrophe for the Krylonian Empire. "Consider this a gift," the human broadcasts declared, from one galactic neighbor to another. "Knowledge shouldn't be hoarded. It should be shared, challenged, and improved upon." The impact was immediate. Subjugated worlds began implementing human innovations, making their own improvements, and sharing them back. What had started as one world's resistance was rapidly becoming a galaxy-wide technological revolution. The Krylonian Empire's carefully maintained technological superiority began to crumble. Their biotech advantages, developed over centuries of careful control and secrecy, were being replicated and enhanced by species they had long considered inferior. Perhaps most dangerous of all, humanity's example was inspiring political change. The Draconids, a species that had lived under Krylonian rule for generations, staged their first successful uprising using tactics learned from Earth's resistance. The Meridians followed soon after, then the Vega Collective. "This is unprecedented," Ambassador Lyra declared to the Council. "We're witnessing the birth of a new paradigm. The humans aren't just defending themselves. They're fundamentally changing how technological advancement and interstellar relations work." The humans called it open-source warfare, the free sharing of military and technological innovations. It went against everything the established galactic powers had practiced for millennia, where technological advantages were closely guarded secrets used to maintain political control. Supreme Commander Vex Thor watched his empire's position deteriorate with growing horror. The humans had somehow turned a simple planetary invasion into a galaxy-wide political revolution. Their innovations weren't just military. They were social, economic, and philosophical. "They're not thinking like an emerging civilization," he reported to the Imperial Senate. "They're thinking like they've been doing this for millennia. Every solution they develop isn't just about winning battles. It's about reshaping the entire game." As more worlds adopted human innovations and political ideas, the balance of power in the galaxy began to shift. The Krylonian Empire's traditional advantages, Technological superiority, biological warfare, and information control were becoming increasingly irrelevant. But perhaps the most significant change was in how other species viewed humanity. They weren't seen as just another primitive civilization anymore. They had become living proof that the galaxy's established order could be challenged and changed. The humans had a saying that was beginning to spread among the stars. The best way to predict the future is to invent it. And they were doing exactly that, one innovation at a time. Victory and consequences. The surrender ceremony took place where it all began, in Earth's orbit. The massive Krylonian flagship, once a symbol of imperial might, now hung suspended alongside vessels from 100 different worlds. The galaxy had come to witness history. Supreme Commander Vex Thor's tentacles were notably subdued as he made his way to the signing chamber aboard the newly commissioned United Earth vessel Hope. The irony wasn't lost on him. The ship's artificial gravity, life support, and even its quantum drive were all improved versions of Krylonian technology. Admiral Chen waited at the ceremonial table, her dress uniform adorned with the now-famous Phoenix insignia. "Welcome aboard, Supreme Commander. I trust you find our accommodations suitable." The question carried weight beyond mere diplomacy. Every system on the Hope represented humanity's philosophy in action, taking existing technology and reimagining it in ways nobody had considered before. The ship itself was a testament to how much had changed in just 2 years. "You must understand," Vex Thor said as he settled into the specially designed chair, "we never intended this to become a galaxy-wide conflict." "No one ever does," Chen replied. "But that's the thing about humanity. We don't just fight wars, we learn from them. And we're very good at helping others learn too." The surrender terms were unprecedented in galactic history. The Krylonian Empire wouldn't be dismantled. Instead, it would be transformed. Forced technological sharing would end, replaced by open collaboration. Imperial territories would gain autonomy while maintaining economic ties. It was, as human historians noted, more like a restructuring than a defeat. "You're not acting like conquerors," Zix observed during the negotiations. Her color had finally stabilized, shifting to the deep blue of curiosity. "Because we're not interested in conquering," explained Dr. Rivera, who had become humanity's leading expert on Krylonian biology. "We're interested in growing. There's a difference." The implications of humanity's victory resonated across the galaxy. The Galactic Council found itself grappling with new realities as younger civilizations began demanding reforms, backed by their newly acquired technological capabilities. The humans called it the Innovation Protocol, the principle that technological advancement shouldn't be a linear path controlled by established powers, but a collaborative journey open to all. It was chaos to the old order, but it was productive chaos. They turned the galaxy into their research and development lab. Ambassador Lyra remarked to the Council, "Every species is now building on each other's discoveries. The pace of advancement is unprecedented." The changes weren't just technological. Human cultural concepts spread rapidly through the galactic community. Ideas like open-source development, crowd-sourced problem-solving, and competitive collaboration found eager adoption among species tired of rigid hierarchical structures. Perhaps the most profound change came in how the galaxy viewed conflict itself. The humans had demonstrated that victory didn't require destruction. It could lead to transformation instead. Warfare evolved from a tool of conquest into a catalyst for innovation. 1 year after the surrender, Earth hosted the first Galactic Innovation Summit. Representatives from thousands of worlds gathered to share discoveries, challenge assumptions, and build on each other's ideas. The Krylonians, to everyone's surprise, became enthusiastic participants. "We spent centuries perfecting our biological technology," Zix explained during her keynote speech. "But the humans showed us that perfection can be a trap. True advancement comes from adaptation, from being willing to break things apart and rebuild them in new ways." Supreme Commander Vex Thor, now serving as the reformed Krylonian Federation's ambassador to Earth, found himself frequently asked about the lessons of the war. "We thought we were superior because we had achieved perfection," he would say. "The humans taught us that perfection is static, but innovation is endless. They didn't just beat us. They showed us a better way to grow." As Earth prepared to build its first faster-than-light colony ships, incorporating innovations from a dozen different species, Admiral Chen reflected on how far they'd come. "The Krylonians thought they were starting a war," she told the graduating class at the new Galactic Defense Academy. "Instead, they accidentally sparked a renaissance. That's the thing about humanity. We don't just survive challenges, we turn them into opportunities. And now we're teaching the galaxy to do the same." The stars, once a barrier and then a battlefield, had become humanity's greatest classroom, and the lesson was clear. The future belonged not to those who could perfect the present, but to those who could imagine something entirely new.